Machismo Eugene, welcome to another video from Exit Strategy. How it all ends for the narcissist, well, it's already ended. It's ended for them, and this is just the beginning for us. So you have to understand, guys, when they're smearing us now, as they were before, we were awakened. The difference now is that we know that that's a big part of what they're going to do. The difference now is we don't really care enough. The difference now is we are aware exactly how they move. And now they, knowing that we know how they move, they are aware. And some of them, in many cases, know the victims are speaking out about them. We're speaking emphatically about them in our content. We're speaking about the experience. Them knowing this, they have double duty now. They have to continually up the ante on the smear. And what you have to understand, we're telling our story and they're telling their version. Now, what they didn't have at their disadvantage before we awakened was they were telling their lies, and we were not aware that they were lying on us behind our back, and we were yet still being truthful and honest and forthcoming with them, as well as the friends that we had, or the friends that we perceived that we had that we no longer deal with, because we were made aware that those are not the type of friends that you want to continue to have in your circle to begin with. So the narcissists did us a favor in that regard, because they helped us weed out people who were really for us and people who were against us. So the trash took itself out. But the narcissists had to continually smear us unbeknownst to us. But now that we know what we know about our experience, and we're telling people, we're telling the masses, we're telling it on the mountaintop, they have to work double duty now, not only to keep smearing the truth tellers, but they are telling their lie to people who have two versions. They're telling truth or their lies to people who are being able to say what exactly happened, as opposed to what they're saying didn't happen. So now they have to be concerned on whether their lies are convincing enough. But I don't give them, that's giving them a lot of credit. They are under the illusion that whatever they're doing, everyone is still okay with it. Nobody is none the wiser. And what this inevitably does is causes people to back away even from the narcissist. And what this does to the narcissist is it causes them to panic even more. This is why you will see a narcissist will up and move out of a town, an apartment complex, the city, the state. And they'll have everybody wondering, where the hell did they go? Because what they're doing, they won't keep the same job if things start falling apart, especially when an awakened empath rip them a new butthole. They are on edge. They're like, wow, this person disengaged with me. And don't let it be an inconclusive breakup or disengagement, meaning you just bounce, don't give them the memo. And they reach out to you like, what's going on? And they just hear crickets. They just hear crickets. And so you don't give them a conclusive idea of why you bounced. That in itself has them wondering, wow, do they know? Those three words, do they know, is what keeps them on the run. So rest assured, guys, don't try to force your truth on people, even though we are airing it out here to the masses and people who are healing just like ourselves. It's just a community of us. And the World Wide Web is getting the word out to people who didn't even actually ask for this information. There are people stumbling upon these YouTube channels, and they are being able to sit with themselves in their own isolation. Because the best way I think an individual can be convinced of anything in the world is to sit by themselves in isolation and have this thing presented to them. This way, they're able to assess it, do their own critical thinking, and come to their own conclusion without anyone being in judgment of them. They will be their own critic. That's what isolation does for you. So, mind you, there are people who are not awake but are in tune or in direct connection with this information, and they are making those decisions within themselves. They are making that decision up here, even though they haven't physically exited the relationship or relationship. They are making these sound thought patterns in their head. They are forming these conclusive verdicts because they see now that this person that they've been entangled with has a pattern of destruction. They're also being able to unearth why these things in their present past have happened the way that they've happened. By listening to our stories, they know that this is not just coincidence, this, that, and the other that happened, because they're able to see in a parallel way, wow, my boyfriend, I experienced the same thing. And he had me believing that it was because the car broke down. But then when he got home, I began to ask him, why do I notice this or that with the car when you said you took it to get it fixed? You get where I'm going with this. So it's causing people to look back on these things that they just passed off. This is critical. This is critical for newly awakened empath chosen ones and those who are coming out of the fog. This is how I came out of the fog. This is how I ultimately woke up in a way whereas there's no chance in hell or heaven that I would return to that narcissist. Game over. You can look back in relationships and girlfriend, boyfriend, hookups that you had in the past, and you can see why you kept going back and forth. There's a name for it. Trauma bond, cognitive dissonance. These are words that are applicable to what we experienced. Now we're able to put the face on the page. Undeniable. The verdict is in, guys. So rest assured, the narcissist is very much in limbo right now. They are in limbo in the worst way. In 2025, it's all the more. And see, I'm going to tell you something else. With social media, I noticed something the other day. Well, I've noticed it for a long time, but I kind of zoned in on it. You know, I just narrowed in on this situation. Social media, we're able to see people like myself sit here in front of you and talk and actually express ourselves. And there are many things from our own education that we are garnering from the World Wide Web by way of psychologists that are educated in their field where it pertains to behavior science. What I'm trying to say, to break it down, even without those psychologists, man, you get on these TikTok and you see these TikTok shorts and YouTube shorts. We readily can identify based on some cues that a lot of these individuals, if not half of them, are narcissists, and they need this attention like you wouldn't believe. Some of them on here are talking, and just by the way they are talking, you can go on some of the sites where even TikTok, where you hear a lot of them on live, like I'll say the girls, because I don't really, and I'll go in, I'll check out some of the guys who are supposed to be these motivational speakers, or they're just giving these little talks in their bedroom. We're all out here doing our thing, right? More power to you. But what we're understanding is there are a certain type that are on here that are commanding the troops. And they've gotten people so hoodwinked. Just their whole dichotomy in everything that they are talking about reeks self-absorbed, egocentric, fragile ego. So when someone comments, you'll see them go on a tangent about that comment of someone who stood on business and said what most of the audience probably saw. But the reason why nobody spoke to that was because the narcissist that was championing the minions who were narcissists themselves. See, birds of a feather will flock together. And this is why you'll see some of these narcissists that have these platforms, they have hundreds of thousands of views and hundreds of thousands of subscribers talking about a lot of nonsense. A lot of them can talk about things such as us empath and chosen ones talk about. They'll go in a tangent about, they will break down how we empaths and chosen ones, those who parading themselves as chosen ones, they will give you a breakdown on how we should proceed forward. But in a sense, what they're doing is they're actually showing you where, if you're a chosen one and an empath, this ain't something that you would just readily think is something like a blue pill or red pill. There are certain levels and there are certain things about chosen ones and empaths that speaks to who we are. It can't be manufactured. It can't be copied. So even people on here parading themselves as chosen ones and empaths, just let them do what they do, because God said, like, the disciples came to them and said, well, you know what, there are people over here that are selling the Holy Spirit, that they can heal and make people walk and see again. They're pretty much manipulating the gospel. And well, actually, no, they didn't talk to Christ. I think they was talking to the Apostle Paul. And the Apostle Paul said, basically, it doesn't matter if they're doing it with falsehood and fakery and foolery, as long as the gospel is being preached. So this is what I'm trying to say to all of that. It does not matter whether people are parading themselves as narcissists. Chosen ones and empaths that are in fact narcissists. Let them talk, man, because we as empaths and chosen ones, we sit back and we observe this. We're not going to speak on their name. We're not going to throw them under the bus. We don't really have to do that, because I'll take case in point. There were a couple of, and again, the names don't matter. You guys are on here. You got a brain. Empath, chosen one, we have more than a brain. We have an intuition. We have a gift. We have a gift that cannot be taught. This is a gift that comes from God. We can read energy like nobody's business. There were these individuals that were bickering some time ago, and they had words, and it was they just aired it out on social media. But before that, they were they were allies. They had an allegiance to each other. They did each other little small favors, this and that. They had a campaign going, and this thing just fell apart. And me personally, I just unsubscribed. Me, little old me, I don't have a lot of subscribers. That's not really why I'm here. I'm here for a lot of people, not so much to subscribe, but just submit to the truth that we're telling, and be free from the bondage that you're in. If that can happen, I don't even really care about how many subscribers. I care about how many people are in tune and listening to what's going on here. Not to say that I don't appreciate all 800 of my subscribers. I do. Those are people I believe that are committed to just seeing me on here talking about things, and hoping that I'm consistently giving them something that's going to help them. And as I learn, I'm improving. I want them to improve. But these two individuals, and there's probably a lot more, but these two individuals, I had a very, had a solid affection for them. But when they began to behave like this, I don't want no part of this, bro. Even before I awakened to narcissistic abuse, empaths, we don't like drama, bro. We don't like trouble. We don't like problems. We don't go to a nightclub or a dance club or a dance spot, and then when something pop off, we ain't the type of people be lingering around wondering who gonna win the fight. We don't care. That's not the thing that we are in tune to. You know, our vibration doesn't rock like that. You know, we would leave simply because we probably end up trying to break that fight up and get our nose broke. So we would just leave. You know, we're not cowards. We just know because we're peaceable people for the most part. If we're pushed to a degree or pushed to a certain point, you better believe we're gonna do what we gotta do, but that's beside the point. We don't run towards trouble and chaos. It's just not the way we're wired. But these two individuals, they exposed themselves, it all fell apart, their personal agendas, and then the behavior, the mental behavior of these individuals just began to, it was eerie because, again, we as empaths and chosen ones here, we got deceived and we believed in these individuals. So ain't that something that, you know, even us empaths awaken, we can support and believe in someone until things become real in a way that only empaths know. And everything falls apart with people who are on here just shamming. Because people get side blinded or blindsided by the likes, the views. Then it becomes a campaign. A campaign. Let's get this up. Let's get that up. More power to you, but I'm just saying, don't allow yourself to get sidetracked with the things that bring all the attention to you rather than the subject matter. You know, go and look at the book of Paul. I mean, Apostle Paul, the story. Him as opposed to Saul, King Saul. I always wondered if that's the same person. I don't think so. But King Saul, you know, typical example. He rose to prominence and threw it all away. We're only human, but you got to be able to realize that, you know what, God made you, He brought you through, and once you start with Him, you have to finish with Him. There's no exceptions. That being said, bless.